All right, welcome back to the Knives Fast channel, guys. I am KC, and these are our friends over here, Ren and Stimpy, Powder Toast Man, Log, TV, Charlie Brown, Choo Choo, and Gimli. Say hello to everybody. And guys, in just a moment, we're going to say hello to our guest in the chat. Thank you all for your patience. There are 33 folks in here already, and Keith is apparently cold. Let's say hi to a few people, and then we'll bring our guest in. Cooperlight Steve, Michael Morgan, Mike Curtis, Keith the Knife Freak will be, lots of channel members. Hello, Cooperlight Steve, Jason Bird, Tim B. Hello, sir. Moderator and extraordinary channel member there. Robert Douglas, Richard Kasner, Craig Wilkes, G-Ball, and Paper Tiger, David Helka. Man, there are a ton of Aberdeen. Hello, Jay Corskadden. Hello, north of the border. Todd Carr, another north of the border. Brand new American. All right, there's lots of you in here, and we're going to bring our guest in. We got his video working. So now if I can just get my cursor working, there we go. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome Dirk Pinkerton to the chat.
Hello, everybody. How you doing?
All right.
Thanks for having me on.
So Dirk, I announced a couple weeks ago that we were having you on, and people were very excited to talk about your knives. For those of you that don't know, Dirk is a custom knife maker turned designer, and we'll show you here in a moment. I've got some stuff lined up, and Dirk has a lot of knives out there, and the one I happen to have in hand, flicking over here, is one of those, the Kaiser Escort. I know a lot of you said in my review, actually dropped today, Dirk, of this one, and everyone was pretty excited about this design. So very, very cool. And as Richard Kasner says, it's an honor to have you here. It's really cool. We've been getting more and more knife makers and designers coming in to the chat here, and it's just, we have a very active group of folks, and you'll see they'll ask you some questions here, and everybody's very thankful that you're here.
Well, I appreciate it, and the honor's mine. You know, to have people that appreciate my designs and my work, it's really it's kind of a humbling experience, something I never anticipated. So
that's really cool.
Thank you to everybody.
Yeah, and so just so you know in advance, there's going to be some jokes and jabs in the chat about jimping. My first knife that I showed you a moment ago has no jimping on the spine whatsoever, because I often believe that and again, we're going to talk about design language here in a minute. I often believe that if you have a thumb ramp, you don't necessarily need jimping. And man, I got hammered. Every knife needs jimping. And so as you can see, Nick Martino has already started making sure that he loves your jimping.
Thank you.
And so, yeah, there you go, Nick.
Thanks, Nick.
Yeah, so it's they'll all pick on me. There's Freak Show, hello, and David Iverson and Paper Tiger, Robert Douglas. It is filling up in here, 50 people already. Very, very cool. Glad you're all here. So thank you very much, Dirk. Let's start at the start line, and this, I kind of like doing it this way. We just sort of, besides chatting a little bit, we just met in person. So let's start from the beginning. How did knives begin for you? And I'll pop up probably here somewhere in here your link to your website with a couple of your customy looking things. But how did it all, the knife world, start for you?
Well, really started with my father. He always had a knife with him, some way, shape, or form. And for him, it was always a tool, 100% a tool. It was not something you collected. There was nothing special about it. You bought it, you used it. For him, it depended on the knife. He had one knife that was used for everything, pry, cut, chisel, and then he had one that was specifically for cutting. And he would carry whichever one depending on what he was going to be doing for the day. He was a general contractor.
Okay.
So he did a lot of construction, and he was born and raised. He was born in 1928, lived on the farm. So knife was always part of his life. And that just carried over for me. It didn't really become a major part of my life until after I got older, started collecting guns, doing some competition shooting. That hobby was getting a little expensive. So I decided to start collecting things that were a little less expensive and went
right.
And in that phase of collecting, I came across Daryl Ralph and his knives, and discovered that he only lived about 20 minutes away from me, which became very dangerous because I had easy access to very expensive knives and started falling down the same trap of having an expensive hobby. What happened in that friendship that developed, the very first time I bought a knife from him, he had it UPS to me, and I ordered a second knife, and basically said, I'm just right down the street. Why don't I just come over and pick it up? Instead of wasting the money and the time on UPS. He reluctantly agreed, and I got over there. I remember the day. It was a early Saturday morning. I woke up his wife. She wasn't happy. And I was very excited to get that knife. So
yes, sir.
We ended up spending the entire day in his shop. He took me around, showed me how everything worked, showed me his CNC machines, explained how he got started with his machining background and how it carried into the knife world. And that day I left with the knife that I bought, and probably, almost 10 production knives that he had designed and had in production.
Crazy.
And we became friends after that. Spent, I don't know how many evenings together talking about knives, designs, different makers. We'd go out to eat frequently. Our families became really good friends, spent a lot of time together. And I finally started pestering him. Hey, would you make something for me? I have an idea. And he basically said, no, I make my stuff. You want to make a knife, you go make a knife. And he finally convinced me to do that, and mentored me through the process of making knives. And I still have the first knife.
I was going to say the first one was what? A karambit or what? I mean, what was it?
It was I should have brought it out here. I didn't. That's
okay.
But it's basically a long Wharncliffe, not quite I wouldn't call it quite a sax, but
okay.
It's my unique early take on a Wharncliffe.
Yeah.
And
very cool.
The really cool part about it is, as I had cut it out and got it prepped and I ground it, he heat treated it for me, and then it started to warp as it was cooling down. So he worked on helping get straight out, and then he finally said, here, just let me fix it for you. So he actually did a lot of the grinding on it.
Okay, very cool.
So that was actually, to the best of my knowledge, one of the last knives he actually did the grinding himself.
Wow.
So that's pretty cool.
That's one you should hang on to for sure. That's awesome.
It's not going anywhere.
Not going anywhere. I'm gonna say thank you to Cable Guy 1965. Cable Guy, appreciate you becoming a member, man. There's your Daleka salute. This is a big joke, Dirk. Well, I wouldn't call it a joke. It's a tradition. There's a guy in here, Keith, and you get a certificate with your Daleka when you get it because you're a member of the Daleka Club. And so there you go. And I do that as a salute. So thank you, Cable Guy. Send me an email, knivesfast@gmail.com, and I will send you some channel swag, sir. I appreciate it. Tim put up a list a minute ago of some of Dirk's production knives. I can't seem to find it again. So Tim, if you don't mind throwing that up again for people that don't know, there's a little bit of everything. And one of the ways I let's see if I can share this without screwing up here. This is what I do best, Dirk, is I work in technology all day long, but for some reason on this particular app, I absolutely stink at using it. So I just, if you guys go over, and this, I only use Knife Center because it was the easiest, the one that came up with a whole Dirk Pinkerton section and had the most in. But if you guys don't know, you probably have either seen a Dirk Pinkerton knife or have one in your collection, and you may know it's his, you may not know, but I mean, the Artisan Proponent, the Kaiser Shard, the Beyond, there's lots of Beyond EDC stuff, the Gara, the Ruffian from CJRB, the Concept, oh boy, Dirk, is that the Mujer?
Mugir.
Okay. The Main Street and the Little Main Street from Concept. The Fire Ant. I mean, just look, guys, you can just keep going down. The Arroyo's one I've had in on the channel. The Proponent, obviously, in its many different flavors. So just there's if you didn't know, Dirk Pinkerton has designed a few knives. Just a few, right, Dirk? And then of course there are a couple of people in the chat that you struck a nerve. I don't know if you know this or not, but I said this to you a while back, but people really like the Night Horse, and we had this one in here, gave it away on the channel on a Monday night. This is, to me, fantastic, because you're talking a pretty huge liner lock, obviously, in 14C and G10 with contoured handles for $26 with SMKW. So a lot of people really jumped on this one. Whoa, hold on a half a second. I just missed I don't like to miss people giving me super chats here. So let me go say thank you to whoever this is. Chuck It, man. Thank you so much, brother. Chuck It just gave $20 to the channel. Thank you so much, sir. I'm trying to find it so I can actually put it on the screen. And there's my beautiful wife saying hello. I know. She got my wife bought a Hank. She always likes to show off when she gets Hanks or knives or things like that. Look at that. She got a cactus. She got a nice succulent. I'm sorry, cactus.
Oh, that's cool.
Whatever. Succulent, cactus, whatever, Hank. That's cool. So Dirk, how did Chuck It? Thank you so much, man. Here is your Daleka salute. Dirk, he would like to know, have you ever made a Dirk?
Not a traditional
Scottish Dirk. Yeah.
Close. I have my interpretation of it, and I do have plans to do a traditional Scottish, probably a naval Dirk from the 19th century.
That's cool.
Along those lines.
Yeah, those are pretty bad, man. Everybody's saying hello to you, Scarlett. She left, guys. Sorry. Byron Kennedy's saying on the Night Horse, 4.5-inch blade of 14C for $29, best value ever. I tend to agree with that, very much so. Yes, G-Ball, he did the Escort. We were talking about that, and again, this was a liner lock, and Kaiser brought it back as a Axis style lock, but you know what I mean. Whatever theirs is, clutch lock. Thank you. Yes, this is definitely a Dirk design. So Dirk, tell us how did this beautiful Navaja, this Night Horse, come about with SMKW? It's pretty cool.
It is. It turned out fabulous, actually. It kind of started probably 3 years ago now. I reached out to Josh at Smoky Mountain about the Proponent, and they had a lot of success with the Proponent, and I was just curious if they had any interest in doing something different with the Proponent. I had a couple of ideas on doing what I called a signature series, where basically all the designs that I had with Artisan, we would bring together all in the same color, same trimming and all that, and just set it up as a special run limited to them. And he jumped all over that and then said, hey, if you're interested in doing any kind of other designs, and I had just been finishing up the Night Horse, something I'd been wanting to do for a very long time, and I've been tweaking it over the years, and presented it to him, and he immediately said yes. I mean, there wasn't a hesitation. So
that's pretty cool. And you mentioned to me a while back, I think there may be a smaller version in the works at some point. That would be cool for some people. I personally like the big one, but
well, if it goes to plan, I have them convinced on the smaller version, and they are considering a larger version.
Woohoo! Did you hear that, Kurt Eisen? Did you hear what the man just said? Kurt loves huge knives, so I'm sure he will be very happy about that. I bought 4 of those for gifts, says Manny. I heard the new Kaiser variable is a Dirk Pinkerton design. Is that correct, sir?
That is correct.
Okay, well, we'll have to check that one out here in a minute. And then, of course, he mentioned the concept dash, which is one which it would be funny placed up next to the Night Horse because that thing's what about that big, right?
Yeah, it's tiny.
It's very cool looking though. I haven't seen that one in person yet, but that's definitely cool. Yeah, so that's awesome. Again, having that kind of a relationship where you say, "Hey, I got this new thing. Here's a picture," and they're like, "Yes, please." So that's really cool.
Yeah, it is fun. I have to admit, I kind of enjoy that.
Yeah.
I remember when the very first design I got accepted, Daryl actually helped me get with Meyerco years ago,
Okay.
and I got that going, and it was really cool. And I started talking to other companies, and they basically just kind of looked at me and said, "Who are you?" And yeah, it was very discouraging.
Yeah.
But I just, as Daryl told me, he's like, just keep going. He said, everybody's going to say no. He said, you're going to get more no's than you get yes. And it took a few years, but yeah, now at least when I talk to somebody, they at least give me a few seconds of their time and consider what I have to say, as opposed to just turning me away.
Yeah. I'm sure that all takes time, but
Yeah,
yeah, and you
it
put
takes a
in the
long
blood,
time.
sweat, and tears to get there. So another one everybody's talking about in the chat is the Urban Buoy, and that is definitely one that all of us have seen that design. And I already saw somebody say, "Please make it in a 3.5 inch blade." But that's a really cool one as well. What I guess, you have so many out there. Are there ones like this or others that just sort of stand out to you? Or what are the ones? I mean, again, you can't pick a favorite, but
Yeah, I don't truly have favorites per se, because usually when I design each one, as I'm designing it, it's my favorite. Um, but I think the ones that really stand out or resonate the most with me are the Kaiser, the Inversion, um, the Kaiser
okay.
Nomad, the Main Street, and those are the really big ones right now. The Night
Yep.
Horse definitely does. I mean, I think that goes without saying.
Well, that's a super classic, man. I mean, it's just, yeah, okay. The Inversion was another one I wanted to talk about. That is epic, and I know a lot of people know you for your pick all. If I'm saying that right, pick all, however you say it. So that's a really cool design.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. Kurt, I want to answer a question here. Kurt says that he lost a scale screw out of the Night Horse. I would personally, I mean, maybe Dirk will tell you something different. I would go over to Instagram and find Beyond EDC, and you'll be talking to David, and
Yeah.
just say, David, I need some scale screws. He'll take care of you.
And there's, I have to look at the size again. There's a possibility I might have some myself. So, reach out to me on Instagram,
There you
and
go.
I'll see if I can send some your way.
There you go, guys. You heard it here first. Yeah, I like the style of that blade on the Night Horse. It's one that sometimes, and again, it's the opposite of what your dad did, which, by the way, I didn't tell you. My dad, every knife my dad had, he had one at a time, but it ended up by the end of his life he had like 8, but they were all like they started, let's just say, with a blade like this. And by the time, he kind of retired them, the blades were only about that tall because
Absolutely.
he used a stone, and he would sit there and watch TV with my mom, and he'd spit on that stone, and he'd sit there and
Yep,
do it over
exactly.
and over and over again. And I do. I still have some of them, but they're not easy to get to right now. That just literally the blades were about that tall.
Absolutely.
Craziness. So, but again, like you said, they were a tool for my dad. My dad did home repair and stuff like that. Like, well, first he was in World War II in the Navy, and then he was a civil service electrician and a superintendent. And then when he was retiring, he was working on like handyman stuff at houses. So, and he would just use them till they, couldn't be used anymore because they were so thin, but he'd keep them because he couldn't stand the idea, grew up in the Depression, couldn't stand the idea of throwing something away. So,
oh, absolutely. Yeah. You used every bit of that. You used that blade.
Absolutely. Welcome, Grumpy. Any guys, let's do a little section here. If you have specific questions, please go ahead and drop them in the chat. I will try to ask as many as I see. And then, like I said, Ben Belkin from Jack Wolf is going to join us in a few minutes, and we'll just kind of go back and forth. Ben, by the way, I was going to ask you before I forget, Dirk, are you carrying a knife today? And if you are, would you mind showing us what it is? Because everyone says I have to pocket check the guest. Okay, there you go, guys. The inversion. So,
yep, this is actually going to be the new inversion.
Okay.
I don't know if you can make it out.
Oh man, that thing is bad looking.
Can't get you the handle there. There's the handle.
There you go. Is it titanium?
It's going to be titanium. It's got a new handle shape, new blade shape, different texturing, couple of different carry options. So yeah, it's new and improved, and it will be coming out under my name, not Kaiser.
Okay.
So I'm just finishing up some of the details.
Can you wait? So I was good. You probably can't tell us who the OEM is going to be at this moment in time, but
I can. I can, and it is Concept.
Okay, very cool. I happen to be my knife in the pocket today. One of the three. I happen to be carrying a Concept today that just came in as part of the pass around group. This is Dmitry. I can't ever remember how to say his last name. Oshenko. Anyway, this is the Redis. Really interesting concept.
Yeah, it is.
If I can get my finger off the lock bar there, but really cool. And you can see I was opening packages with it earlier. Nice and dirty there. Very, very interesting knife. I mean, it really, I did an unboxing of it, and I got kind of, what would I say, mixed opinions on it. Ew, ugly, and wow, that's beautiful,
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, I'm sure. I was telling you, I wasn't going to talk about this much, but I was telling you about my little budding knife company. And this was actually my first design. And you want to talk about polarizing. This is called the Mach 51. Unfortunately, it didn't, it did a Kickstarter and it didn't fund. So this is one of three that were ever made. It'll probably come back someday, a little changed and different.
Looks like you took inspiration from like a 30s Ford or something.
P-51 Mustang airplane, actually, but
okay,
but a lot of cockpit here, but
yep.
a lot of people thought, especially when closed, because I left this little nub here, that it looked more like a Ford Mustang there, like a Mach Mustang.
Yep.
But it just was one of those concepts that I just really. I wanted to do something different, but I think for a first knife, I went a little too different. If you know what I mean.
No, that's not a bad thing. There's nothing wrong with that.
But
it needs
some
what
work.
You want to do. You don't try and do what the market wants, because if you do that, then you're not being true to who you are.
That's true, and I want to come back to it for sure. I've already drawn a couple of second gen kind of changes to it. I mean, it didn't have great lock bar access, and part of that was I made it extremely thin because I wanted it very thin, because I like the way a knife with rounded scales feels very thin in the hand, and ergonomically it's great. It's just like I said, lock bar access was pretty terrible. Just one of those things. So yeah, I'd come back with it with some changes and down the road, and we'll see how it goes.
It's a learning experience every time.
Yeah, see, G-Ball, there are a group of people that definitely want me to come back to it. They were very disappointed that it didn't fund. So, very cool. So, yeah, so that's cool that you're carrying that one. Do you have any timeline on when the second inversion might be coming out?
If I get everything tweaked and got the way I want, get the design to concept, I'm hoping sometime mid-year, maybe third quarter.
Okay, very cool. That's awesome. Okay. Okay, Mark Herrera, what does Dirk know that answer to that question? Mark is asking where his VC Edge interface is. I don't know. Do you know the answer to that, Dirk? I don't
I
think
have
so.
no idea what that is.
Okay. It's a knife. I know what it is, but it doesn't have anything to do with you. The inverse squared. I like that, Grumpy. That's what he should call it. That's
Cool.
awesome. That's Dirk. That's it, man.
That is good.
That is good, Grumpy.
That is good. Yeah.
Maybe he'll even remember to shout you out. I don't know. That's pretty good. Manny says I'll take one. Yeah, I mean, that looks really, really cool. I mean, that's one of those, and that's what I was kind of saying for your dad and everybody. It was all about work, and for us, it's turned into, we can work with these things, but they're also just cool to have. And sometimes you grab a hold of one, and you're like, wow, this is really cool. Let's see. I was trying to see. I thought I saw another question that I missed. All right. Tell you what, Dirk, we're going to take a quick pause, and we're going to bring my buddy, Mr. Benny Belkin, in here. Hey, Ben.
What's up, fellas?
Ben, meet Dirk. Dirk, meet Ben.
Ben, nice to meet you.
Likewise, Dirk. Nice to meet you. I was enjoying your guys' conversation.
Very cool. So, guys, seriously, if you still have, I did see a question a minute ago, Dirk, and maybe you can help me. Ben, we'll talk about the Javelina in just a second. I just saw a couple questions. I had a question a minute ago that the way they asked it was, why didn't the Night Horse have a back flipper? And I think the way I would ask it is, would that design lend to a flipper at all? Because I've explained before that some designs, just the way they feel in the hand, they don't lend to having a flipper tab on the other side. So
the Night Horse could have a flipper without a doubt. It will work. It would lend itself to it. The first iteration, this one, I was trying to stay as true to a classic Navaya as I could. So putting a flipper on kind of detracted from that. And I mentioned it to Josh the first time through.
I'm on the live stream now.
With the thumb stud. So,
Gotcha. No, I like it with the thumb stud. I mean, I was able to reverse flick that one, and it's really cool. And Matthew Russell says, thank you for the Night Horse. Very awesome design. That one struck a chord, man. I think it definitely did. People have enjoyed it very much. Well, let's just pause here. I got to get this out of my pocket, Ben. So Ben is here too, because guys, we have a launch of another Jack Wolf knife this Friday, which is the 17th. Is that correct? I think so. Of this guy, the Javelina Jack. And Ben has the orange one there. Is that camo carbon? No, dark matter, right?
This is Blaze Orange Camo Carbon.
Orange Camo Carbon. Oh, cool. And this is the Brittany Blue Camo Carbon here. Sow belly design. And these will be at dealers at 2 p.m. What are you doing over there? My daughter's, I don't know what you're doing. She's taping something up. But these will be at dealers at 2 p.m. on Friday. Really, really cool design. Yeah, super thin. Good grief. Yeah, the thinness of these hollow grinds are pretty crazy. So very, very cool. Dirk, I don't know. Are you a slip joint guy? We might start something here. I don't know. Are you into slip joints at all? Or?
I haven't designed any, but I've been contemplating doing some slip joint designs. So cool. They do interest me. I am fascinated. Especially, I was thinking about doing a slip joint Night Horse. So,
ooh,
maybe that would be really cool.
Have you ever taken one apart, Dirk, to look at the geometry and stuff?
Not on purpose. Yeah, I've broken a couple. Actually, one of my dad's a long time ago. Don't ask me how. Somehow hit it with a hammer, and it flew apart. So. Yeah, I got a good look at it then, but yeah, I haven't disassembled one recently.
It's definitely a different ball of wax, with the tang and the spring and that relationship. But they're fascinating to design. I mean, I don't build knives, I design them. So I can't talk from the standpoint of trying to make one out of parts, but I really do enjoy the challenge of designing them because you're putting all these different aspects into play, trying to get this balance. And I feel like you never get it perfect. You just kind of beat it into place till it's not going to get any better and move along.
Yep. Yeah, no, I agree with that concept. Definitely. So what, did you do the spring and everything when you designed it? Did you come up with the geometry for it and the tension, or did you work with someone on that?
So when I first started drawing these, I would just draw a handle with a blade sticking out, and I ignored all the internal parts when I very first started. But then when the factory would send me a drawing back, they'd have to make compromises in order to get parts to make sense inside the mechanism, and then it messed up the aesthetic. And so I realized I just have to teach myself how the relationships between all the parts work. I bought some really cool books. I'm happy to make the recommendation to you if you are getting into designing one of these things. There's one in particular that really helped me. Yeah, and then definitely. I'm friends with Pena, so I would pick his brain too. And as far as like the tension on the spring, that's specifically a matter of a few things, like where your middle screw is depends on the length of your lever arm, so that can affect the tension. How much meat you have in the spring, because you can cut a relief in the spring to relieve tension. And then also the spring is preloaded, so if you take the blade off the tang, the spring will kind of kick in.
Right.
And so when I draw the parts, I don't draw the preload in. I just draw it in the closed condition, so where the tang is resting on the spring, and the factory will set the preload. They can't preload them too much because you end up with like basically it'll kind of hump out, you know?
Right.
So I kind of rely on their expertise for setting the preload, but I draw the parts in basically all three positions. And because they can make these things with such a high level of precision, and then they're also, when they're assembling these, they're grinding the spines by hand to get perfect flat and flush in all three positions. That's the kind of stuff you can't put in a drawing. That's, you know, for the manufacturer to execute, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Absolutely. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, that would be interested in that book.
Yeah, I'd be happy to pass along. I bought like 5 or 6 different books, and the majority of them were about how to make it. And I was like, you know, that's interesting to read, but I'm trying to understand the philosophy or some rules of thumb for laying out the relationship between the spring and the tang and the pivot hole and everything else. And I found one book, and it was like, okay, that's what I was looking for. So yeah, it's like the gospel for someone trying to learn how to do this from scratch.
Yeah, I can understand that. So when you're designing you said you take into consideration, you just draw the knife that you want, and then now you're taking into consideration the internals now that you've learned it. What have you determined are any limits size wise, or you know, how small do you think you can go? How large do you think you can go? I know larger is easier.
Yeah. So when you're going smaller, you're still designing around hardware, so that starts to be a constraint. I basically I've been a slip joint collector for a long time, and I feel like there's kind of a sweet spot on slip joints. Handle, in slip joint lingo, we talk about the close length, which is the size of the handle. Right. So close length, 3.5 inches on the small, about 4 inches on the large. And that's pretty much the window I like to work in. Now, there's slip joints out there that are smaller than that, like a peanut is a common one. And then there's ones that are bigger than that, like a Granddaddy Barlow or a back pocket. But I feel like with just my knowledge of the market, I've always felt that when you get outside of that envelope, you're getting into a more niche product.
Right.
So I also include a leather slip with all my knives. And so, you know, you get any bigger than 4 inches, it's not fitting in here anymore. So it's kind of a practical limitation.
So I was showing Dirk, let's do this real quick. So I showed for a second there. This is not technically out on the market yet, but coming soon. This is the little bro jack on the top, and then on the bottom is the Benny's clip. So these are the the largest he's done and the smallest, right, Ben, so far?
Gotcha. Yeah. Like start getting into a slip joint 4 inches closed, you end up with basically a 3-inch blade. I'm always trying to hit 75% blade to handle ratio is kind of where I feel like you're not going to get much better. You can get a little bit better than that. I try not to get worse because you start to see it.
Absolutely.
But when you have a 4-inch handle and a 3-inch blade on a slip joint, that knife's going in your pocket. It's not on a clip. And so it gets kind of bulky and heavy when you get onto that upper range, at least in my opinion. I really think the sweet spot is like around this, about 3.75 inches closed. It seems to be like, right in the bullseye. But it's boring if I do them all the same. So I like to have some at 4, some at 3.5, and some at 3.25. And it's amazing. Like if you go wider on your bolster, from top to bottom, you can really open that whole knife up to a bigger blade and a wider handle. And I learned drawing a bunch of these things and I draw in metric. It just works for me. But it's like a game of millimeters, like you add a couple millimeters here and a couple there, dude, it's like a different knife all of a sudden.
Yeah, no, I understand that completely. I run into that too. So doing liner locks and frame locks, completely just a little change here or there makes a huge impact. Yeah,
sometimes 1 degree on an angle and now it looks different.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
No, I played with that on the Night Horse. I had a long time changing angles and noticing what started out as a subtle difference became a dramatic difference as I added in other elements. And part of what took me so long to get it to the point where I was happy with it. So yeah, I understand exactly what you mean. Those subtle changes, the degree here, millimeter there. Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool.
There's definitely a lot of angles on that particular knife. If you look at it, I thought that actually, I mean, at the time that I was first looking at it, is you've got some really precise angles and different things with and again, I love balance in a knife, the balance of the angle of the swedge and the angle of the blade and the angle of the plunge. I mean,
the handle shape kind of got a similar vibe to it, how it kind of hooks into the palm.
Yeah, it does. You're right. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I know when you're designing something like that, like, man, you make that ass end of it too skinny, it doesn't look right. You make it too fat, it doesn't look right, and then you fold the blade into it, and if you thought the handle looked good, but you fold the blade into it, doesn't look right. Or, the way that like reveals the saber grind is not right. It's like, shit, so many little things.
Yeah, it is. It can be a challenge, to say the least.
Right. And then if we go back, if I still got it here, I can't even imagine trying to hit all the angles and everything on this one.
That was fun. That was completely fun. I racked my brain on that nonstop, probably for 5 days straight, at least 8 hours a day, trying to get that to work.
You knew what you wanted it to be, but it took a while to get it there. I hear you.
And I finally had to walk away from it, put it down for probably about 2 or 3 weeks, and didn't think about it. And then all of a sudden, I was like, "Oh, that's what I'm doing wrong." Okay, I got it. So,
hey, Dirk, do you draw in the computer?
Yeah, I do. I use an old 2D drafting program called Bobcat version 22.4 or something like that. So it's really old.
Where did you learn drafting? Did you ever have any formal training?
No. Daryl Ralph actually got me started with it. He actually used Bobcat on a lot of his design because it was easier for him to translate that from his CAD drawings into G code to run a CNC. So when I was, he was helping me out, mentoring me. He taught me a lot of basics on the 2D aspect of that program. And I'm kind of stuck on it. I've tried playing with newer stuff, and I just I can't wrap my brain around it.
And see, back to Dirk, I told you everybody messes with me. They're saying my first knife that came out, they're saying that I sketched it on a napkin and faxed it to Kubi. It took me 6 minutes. Thank you. You bunch of smart Alex. Michael Morgan. this
that
took
happens.
a lot of work.
That does happen, though. That does happen indeed.
I'm sure it does.
There are a few designs out there that were literally on a napkin, and the guy drew it right in front of the factory rep, and they said, "Yep, we'll take it."
That's awesome. Well, Ben can speak well because Ben was my kind of helper and confidant when this guy kind of tanked, and I actually took Ben, I don't know, like a 2 or 3 week break where I said I wasn't even sure I was going to move forward because when this failed, I just didn't know if I wanted to do it again. And I just sat down one day and I said, well, what do people like about this one? And then I started just drawing and redrawing. And then this guy came out of that one and just became a different blade shape and everything else. So that's exactly what happened. So no, it was not a 6-minute napkin drawing. Smart Alec. If anything, you could say that one took 6 months.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. We're gonna do a little quick traditional thing we do on the show here. My daughter's an artist, and we give away something from her. Oh, you did it different. Okay, this is cool. Come on in. We give away. We have a bunny. Come on. Don't knock over my camera. His name is Monty, like Monty Python, the killer bunny. And so we do these killer bunnies, and she does something different every time. And this is cool. All right. This is nuts. All right. So we have a Valentine's. They're usually on a piece of wood, but she did something different. So we have a Valentine's bunny. This is freaking cool. Did you take pictures of this?
Not yet.
Okay. We got to do that before we do it. This is number 32, and it's the killer lover bunny. Number 32. Look at this, guys. That is
Nice.
freaking cool.
That is cool.
And she signed it down there. Ash, that is flipping awesome. That is awesome. He looks so lovable, but not at the same time.
I originally drew scissors, and then I switched it for a knife because I was like, "This is a knife channel."
Yeah, you can't. I don't know what
Yeah.
kind of knife. What do we have going on? That it looks a bit like
I
a
don't know,
quake,
I just
like a
drew-
quaking or something. I don't know.
I just drew a blade at this point. I was
We
just
we have this one over here where the bunny has a pinion. My knife the pinion. So you like it? What do you think,
That's
Dirk?
good.
Yeah, this one's pretty rough, man. But I love that one. But yeah, this one's a little more cuddly. So what's everybody saying in the chat? Wow, I need that. Sweet.
Yes, I am. That is me.
Yes, that's
I am Ginger
Ashlyn. Yep.
Snail, yes.
Mike Jernak, that is her. So listening to everyone's design process. That's cool. So yeah, that'll be in the giveaway tonight, guys. We'll have a bunch of other stuff as well. We'll go over that here in a few minutes. Okay, well, I better put it over here because if I put it over there, I won't take a picture of it. And I'll just throw it in the
Mom's gonna be mad if you tell her I had a cool one and then you didn't.
Yeah, I better here. We're gonna take a picture right now so my wife doesn't like throw rocks at me. Okay. All right. So very, very cool. So yeah, I mean, to me, this is what I envisioned for this conversation. Design conversation is very intriguing to a lot of people. Dirk, my next question was going to be for you, and I'm gonna ask Ben the same thing. You drew the night horse, and you said you wanted to be very true to the design. And Ben has been going through that process for a long time. These are tried and true. This is a sow belly. The one I showed before is a boy's knife. You have, a Lanny's clip. You have all these different, and you're trying to stay true. But again, you want to put your own spin, tweak. So I guess is that how your process happens a lot, Dirk, or are you coming up with things that are your own? I mean, what percentage of it, I guess, and by the way, thank you to everybody who's here. We're up to 107 folks in here. So thank you. 109 now. So Dirk, I guess how does your process start when you decide you want to go ahead and work on the next thing? Where do you begin?
It has evolved. When I first started, it was primarily I would just see something that looked cool, and I would say, okay, how can I make it better? And I would play with that idea. But usually in that process, there was a purpose behind it. The design had to have a function. Be it a work knife, kitchen knife, self-defense knife. So whatever I was working on, I had to bend it towards a function. and that's kind of how I started early on. And I didn't really have anything. I just, whatever came to me, came to me. But as I progressed, I've become more interested in the traditional knives of different cultures. And
that's cool.
I'm liking the idea of exploring those different designs and trying to see how I can bring them to a modern setting. And, through that interpretation by, without putting it on a copy machine, I'm putting my own spin on it, my own interpretation of it, just because I don't have the knife in front of me. I'm doing it from, drawings or paintings or things I've seen in history books or online. And so by that very nature, that interpretation brings in my own design element. And then once I have a basic drawing, then I start working with what is going to be truly mine. What function is this going to be? Sometimes I'll bring something, to a design that is just the design itself. It's meant to be nothing than a homage to that knife or that blade. I don't do that often. It happens sometimes, but most of the time I'll look at a design and I'll say, how can I make this a work knife, or how can I make this, self-defense blade? Most of the stuff currently is trending towards self-defense with utility as a secondary consideration. So a lot of what I do is in that vein and goes in that direction. So I've been doing a lot of Jambia and Kanjars recently.
Oh, wow.
So I'm putting my interpretation on that and trying to bring it into more of a, how can you make it an easier to carry knife? How can you make it more of a universal knife? And it's my own, everybody says when they look at those designs, they basically go, yeah, I can see what you've done to it. I understand that it's your knife.
Right.
I still don't quite understand. I can't look at my own design and see myself in it. I don't understand what they're saying, but I wish I could understand that, because
it varies. Right. Yeah, I get you. I understand what you're saying. That makes a lot of sense. So you were saying, I'll get to Ben in just a second, but you were saying that you're kind of trending a certain way, but is there a blade shape that's like the Dirk, this is my favorite blade shape, or is it just, it varies and you're all over the place these days?
Well,
since you've designed so many.
I like a lot of blade shapes, a lot of blade designs. But I think in smaller blades, I really am solidly fixed on Wharncliffe on smaller blades, and to a certain degree bigger blades. But as they get bigger, I like the Middle Eastern Persian upswept blade. Right,
like the Arroyo, right?
Yeah, because I think as it gets bigger, while you can do more with that curved blade and a bigger blade, and it gets a little more interesting.
Right. So when you say Wharncliffe, I immediately think of the Ruffian. Yeah. Especially like you said, a smaller one. Really cool angles on this one. I love the flare at the end of the handle, because I've always said on a smaller knife, I want a flare at the end of the handle because it helps me grip around my palm.
Yeah.
I think that's fantastic. So that's one I definitely think of when I think of you and Wharncliffe's.
Thanks.
Very, very cool. All right, Ben, I'm thinking, again, you're probably going to correct me here. But I'm thinking your process might be, slightly different in that you're at this point, again, you point out all the time, you're Jack Wolf knives, not Jack Wolf slip joints, but right now what you have out there is slip joints. So you're sort of working from a catalog, but then again, as we know from the Cyborg, you do your own thing too. So what inspires you? Now you have 11 knives out, or 10, I guess. What inspires you in that regard to get started going in a certain direction?
Well, I've been having a chance to think about this while you guys talk. And
good.
For me, I guess something I think that I would have to point out is I'm not only designing knives, but I'm establishing a brand. And so designing within a framework to establish a brand identity and sort of creating a somewhat of a narrow lane for myself was the thought process in the beginning. And I focused on, as you guys all know, traditional slip joint designs that don't stray too far off the reservation in their blade shapes and handle shapes. So in essence, how they look, but with modern materials and custom features, like features found on custom knives at a higher price point. But also, and it's something Dirk said, and I'll say the same thing, I don't ever trace anything. Like, I refuse to ever trace anything. So I always draw from scratch. So that way it's, you know, my own drawing and it's uniquely mine. So if you hold up my sow belly against a case sow belly against one made by Tom Plopper or Bill Rupel, like, our sow bellies are all different, but they're all sow bellies, you know? And so for me, I really wanted to, especially with my first selection of knives, touch on what I understood to be not only the traditional knives, timeless knives that I like, but also ones that I thought the market would like, because there's a lot of really obscure slip joint knives that I think are cool, but the businessman in me said, like, hey, Ben, maybe that's not the right
like
one.
we talk about the hawk bill. I want a hawk bill, but
well,
you know,
maybe
it may
even
not
things more right, or things more like
Right.
when it comes down to making 2-blade knives versus single blade knives. I mean, usually the more, you know, the deeper you get in a slip joint hole, the more you start to open your mind to multi-blade knives, and they're beautiful and they're well crafted, but they're practical from the standpoint there's less sharpening to do because you got more blades to dull, but they're not as practical to carry around, and the modern knife buyer is really unfamiliar with that as a whole.
Right.
And so I'm all, you know, part of my design process is balancing like how out there I want to get with my designs, balanced against like my other side of my brain, my business side, saying like, hey, we got to keep this focused enough so that we can afford to get out there as time goes on, you know?
Very cool. Ben, how about you? Favorite blade shape?
A favorite blade shape? Man,
Yeah.
that's a tough question for me.
It is a tough question. I agree.
You know, I don't know. I like clip points. I like sheep's foots. I like warm clips. I like spear
So you
point.
like all
That's
of them.
why
There you go.
you've seen them all from me.
Yep.
I don't know. It's really tough for me. It depends on the day of the week, man. Depends on the day of the week.
So we'll let you off the hook for a minute. And Dirk, Hero Stick says he loves his, you say it, Smilodon. It's his side table staple. Very cool. And for those of you that don't know, I'll show that one here in just a second. But I wanted to show, before that, Mattisfaction is asking for a humongous proponent. This is the proponent for those of you that don't know. It's already pretty big, Dirk, but we're being asked for a ginormous one. So,
well, you got to talk to Artisan. I've already told them I would like to see a bigger one, and they said sure, whatever. And we haven't got one yet. So
okay, well, hopefully they'll do that at some point. And then here.
Oh, did we just lose the host?
We lost the host.
So, Dirk, what are you doing? How was your weekend, Dirk?
Very good. How about yours?
I worked the whole time. I didn't even watch the Super Bowl. How about you?
I got to watch the Super Bowl. It was pretty good. We had a good game.
Very cool. Oh, look who's back.
Not sure what just happened. I was trying to show the Smilodon, and see, Dirk, what did I say earlier? What did I say?
Yep.
As long as I don't screw it up, and then what did I do? But absolutely screw it up. So for those of you that don't know, there's the Smilodon. Hopefully I did it right this time. But that is the knife that Hero Sticks was referring to before I sent myself into wherever land I went to there. Oh gosh, that's what I do best. So very, very cool. And now I lost my chat, but anyway,
that thing looks absolutely wicked. You come down on someone with that thing, dude, you can cut them from collarbone to pelvis.
It is, it is a very effective blade. I actually had a report from a gentleman that was in the Philippines that had an opportunity to use it in a bar fight, and he said it filleted the bad guy's arm from elbow to his hand. Just
Oh
took
my
it down to
gosh.
the bone, cleanly stripped it right off.
Yeah, it definitely looks like an angry knife for sure. So golly, that's crazy. Yeah, that shape is very much a defensive weapon. I don't know if you're familiar, Dirk, with Bob, the knife junkie. Bob loves pickles. And,
Yeah, he's got a couple of mine. So yeah,
very, very cool. I figured with what you make, you must know who he is because he loves those things, man. Very, very cool. Yep. Awesome. So, guys, seriously, if you have questions for either one of these fine gentlemen, please feel free to ask them. Again, just wanted to say this because we are now at over 100 folks in here. The Javelina Jack. Ben, you want to talk about what variations? There's 5 this time, and my video drops on Thursday and kind of goes through them. But if you want to talk about the 5 variations real quick, that would be cool.
Absolutely. And I had them all because I was on a live stream with Patty's potato peelers early today, but I left them at my office. So that was smart.
Not a problem.
So, all right. So Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, these are going on sale. The dealer list is on my website, jackwolfknives.com. I've got dealers all over the U.S. and Europe. There's 5 variations of this knife. The blade is the same on every single one. So is the titanium. The variations are in the scale material, or in the slip joint lingo, we call them covers. Your choices are this camo carbon blaze orange. KC has here's the blue one as well.
Brittany blue,
so
right?
This is camo carbon Brittany blue. Then there's fat carbon dark matter green, which is kind of more of a shred or marble carbon fiber with green throughout. And then there's the good old standby fat carbon purple haze. And then last but not least, there is a micarta option, natural canvas.
Very cool.
And this one is about 3 3/4 close length, and about 2.78 inch blade. So legal to carry just about everywhere.
And what I like about what Ben does, Dirk, is this is what Ben, is this the 3rd clip point or the 4th? 3rd.
Well, we've had
we can't count the little
bro.
Don't count,
There's
can't
the
sharpshooter,
the Benny's clip, and so yeah, this would be the 3rd.
The what about the shoot?
Am I missing
the
one?
cyborg?
So. Oh, the cyborg. Yeah. This guy.
I knew there was one more. But what I was gonna say is every one of them is a different take on the clip point.
Yeah.
He's done something a little bit different with each one, which I think is pretty cool. Because way, even though I'm getting a clip point, I'm getting something slightly different.
Absolutely.
These two are similar, but I tried to make them different. Like they have a different belly profile, and this one comes upwards before it dives in, has a more pronounced swedge. But they're kind of that like Turkish clip point style. Yeah. And that's dramatically different from, let's say, the more Bowie looking clip point on this one or on this one. But I like, on my clip points, I like to have a swoop. You know, like some clip points, they'll be angled straight. I just really like how you have all this linear action, and then you'll have just this nice curve.
Yeah, nice contrast. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely a classic look with that swoop for sure. Now, Dirk, I do have to tell you a bad story about one of your knives. No, I'm just kidding. I absolutely love the Artisan Arroyo, but I screwed around and got poked with that one pretty bad. But the good news is Ben's in the same category because one of his knives filleted my thumb open, the Vampire Jack. So you both have something in common, but it may just be that I'm a complete klutz, which is absolutely true.
I cut myself with my own knives all the time. So
the Arroyo is a vicious knife. That tip is just wicked. It is absolutely wicked, and it just caught me off guard. I just wasn't quite thinking. Oh, look, this point's up here.
I have heard
Casey,
that from people.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, it seems like the common denominator in this equation is you.
It is. It absolutely is. There's no denying that. I mean, I'm the guy that drops knives all over the place. Oh gosh.
You know, Casey, I forgot to say hello to everybody. I didn't want to forget to do that.
Yeah.
A lot of people said hi to me. I was looking through the chat. So, hey everybody, I just wanted to say hi to you guys. It's always a pleasure to see you. And I hope y'all had a half decent Monday. It's always a tough day of the week.
Yeah, the vampire needed a taste of blood. That's right. That's right, Troy. We couldn't go on without some christening of the blood. That one, Ben, that was the one that I was convinced my wife and I, Dirk, we were on this thing is bad, man. It's one of my favorite designs because of the sleekness of it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's just
very nice.
It's super sleek. This one, it is fast becoming, the low drag jack is fast becoming a favorite too, just because it's so unique in the aerodynamic shape of it as well. So, but what I was saying is on the vampire, the one he had out there, my wife and I were on a trip away from the kids. First night, I was doing a video with I don't know what she was in taking a shower or something. And I was in taking a little video with the vampire to put up a short or something. And I forgot something on the other side of the room. And I went to walk and it slipped out of my hand and came down on my thumb and literally just filleted this part of my thumb back. I mean, it just went floop like that. And it's hanging here. And I'm just like, oh, neat. So she's like, do we need to go to the ER? I'm like, I'm not going to the ER on a trip with my wife. Okay. Just give me some stinking. Oh, it's this thumb. That's right. You can still see the scar. But you know, I'm like, just give me some bandages and whatever, and I'll deal with it. And we went and bought some butterflies the next morning and just dealt with it like that. So I wasn't about to go to no friggin' ER or urgent care center in the middle of the night. So nope, not doing that.
Knives are sharp, man.
Oh gosh,
knives are sharp.
No, but you need to take a little bit of credit here. These things are ridiculous. What are these typically behind the edge, Ben?
Anywhere typically 8 to 12,000 behind the edge.
So please don't just blame me or that the knives are sharp. These are surgical instruments. Okay,
they're not a wedge. Like Dirk was talking about, you know, a lot of his knives are self-defense first, and then he's trying to make sure there's a utility element.
Right.
These knives have almost essentially no self-defense application. I mean, they don't even lock. So while you could slash someone with it, and, you know, someone's throat would be fucking done for if you got the right angle on them. That's not what they're designed for, right? They're designed as a pocket knife. They are slicing tools, not for prying, not for torquing.
Yep.
And so that blade geometry, well, it cuts well.
Yep. Dirk, you've done it now, man. You've done it now. Because this guy doesn't say things in jest. He will be messaging Russell every day.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
That's what we need.
There you go.
You guys, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Remember that.
Absolutely.
That's how life works.
Satisfaction is definitely a squeaky wheel. So, Matty, be specific on the size you want now. Tell him what size you really want. So, I want a 6-inch blade. No, just kidding. It's a joke.
Wow, 6-inch. I don't know.
No, huge. I think that's a bit much because that would be this thick. Yeah, it would be. I can't imagine
how that would be crazy.
Up. Yeah, it would be. I somewhere around here have a Civivi Bull Mastiff, which is obviously not your design, but that thing is huge enough for me. That is a big, because it's so tall. It's just crazy. I don't even know where it is right now, but it's around here somewhere. My favorite Dirk Pinkerton that I have is the Artisan Cutlery Tacit.
Oh yeah,
it's a great knife. That's one I'm not super familiar with. So guess what? We're gonna go take a look at the Tacit here. If Casey can actually do that without signing himself off the air, off the internet.
Casey, while you figure out that, Dirk, do you get into any kind of 3D modeling on your own, or do you just review the 3D models from the manufacturer?
I let the manufacturers do the 3D modeling. I've experimented with it a little bit and failed miserably and got frustrated to the point that I just gave up.
Yeah, I like you. I draw everything in 2D, and then I comment on the 3D models. I'd like to take some time to learn how to use Fusion better, but it just hasn't been a requirement yet for me.
Yeah, same here. I suppose if I was forced to do it, I would probably learn how to do it. That tends to be the secondary way to get me to learn is put a gun to my head, and I'll get it done. But no one's put a gun to my head yet. So.
There you go. There's the tacit for those that are wondering. Dirk, we kind of talked about this earlier, but I'll ask it anyway because it's being asked again. What were you mentioned some before that you were particularly proud of? Curious about which 3 you were the most proud of is what Hero Sticks is asking.
I actually thought about that a little more after you asked me, and I'm still it's still the Inversion, the Nomad, and the Main Street, but I have to throw in the Lancer, the Kaiser Lancer.
That's right. I forgot about that one. Yes. I am familiar with the Kaiser Lancer. I think I had that in here for a review quite a while ago.
Yeah, it's a very unique knife, kind of like the Inversion. A lot of people, it really wasn't intended to go into production. It was meant to be a very just a custom knife, and it was very specifically made for a very specific task. And David was a huge fan of it, and he would ask me from time to time if Kaiser could produce it, and I finally gave in and said, "Yep, let's do it." And I modified it a bit to make it a little more palatable for the general public, so to speak. So the dimensions, the handle's a little bit longer than the original, and the angle on the handle's a little more in line with the center line. It used to have more of a cant to it, and it used to be a little shorter. It was meant to be the absolute minimum handle that you could put in your hand, still have control, and feel secure. But a lot of people, once they picked up that original handle, gripped it, didn't understand what I was trying to tell them on how to grip it and what it was meant to do, and they basically just walked away in frustration. So that's why I was a little surprised that David really wanted to put it in production.
Yeah. It's a very unique one, and that is the definition of what we call around here pokey stabby. Very much so. Looks like a hog hunting knife, says Grumpy. Yeah, you could definitely do that with that one. He's already, Midas Faction already sent a message to messages have been sent to our artisan. He says, let's make this happen. And then Moose Duty keeps asking for a 4-inch. Well, which knife was it? Now I can't remember. Come on, Moose Duty, help me out. Where'd it go? 4-inch urban buoy. So everybody wants big knives. Everybody's looking for the big ones. So.
Kaiser has mentioned doing a larger urban buoy. I don't know where they are in the process. The last time that I asked, they said it was still in the queue to be rendering done. So I need to check up with them. That's been a few months. I need to follow up with them and see if they're still thinking about moving forward.
Definitely would be very cool. And your top 3 is definitely ones that are resonating with a lot of people. So Jay, I think the answer to your question, I'll let Ben answer it, but I think the answer is yes. I mean, Ben has mentioned several times that it's not called Jack Wolf slip joints. It's called Jack Wolf knives. So I think at some point we'll see some other stuff from Ben, right, Ben?
Yeah, absolutely. And, I'm not even a full year into sales, and I'm a one-man show. So just be patient with me, guys, because running this business from top to bottom there's a lot of stuff that just goes on behind the scenes that limits my ability to implement like a lot of new projects, because I've already committed to all my re-releases having slight modifications from the previous release. So, for example, like let's say I do a Vampire Jack again the next time, well, it's definitely going to have different colors. I could do like no bottom bolster, or I could make the bolsters bigger, or I don't know what blade shape I'd use besides this sphere, but I could change the blade shape. So there's a lot of work just planning for the re-releases of these things.
Well, I can tell you one thing that you have to do, and we've talked about this. We've talked about this. We have to have a midnight jack with a spear point blade.
Oh, right. I've been thinking about this is the midnight jack, Dirk.
Yes, sir.
This has probably been the one that
I love that, but I just want a spear on there.
Demanded, because I don't know, man. I think I just hit people on the nerve with this sheep's foot blade and kind of the coffin handle and everything.
Oh, very
it's
traditional,
simple, but yeah.
Well,
but it just
it's
worked.
got that Barlow feel to it.
Yeah, it's a Barlow. Yep, yes, sir. It's a Barlow. So, but you could pretty much cram any blade shape into this handle, I think. So we'll see.
Universal.
I think so. I've talked to you about that one before. I want to if you guys don't mind, I want to show something I almost forgot to show, and this would be a travesty. I had something made. I'm gonna have Dirk. I told you my tiny little company. I'm gonna have a blade show booth, and so I had something. Ben, I don't even know if I've shown this to you, but I had something made for my blade show table, and this came out way better. So you guys know I've talked about David from Lily Design Woodworks. He made the wood tray that I use in all my reviews. He found this big hunk of what's called, I'm not going to forget, the ambrosia wood, which is apparently a Texas wood, and you've got live edge on both sides. He pieced it together to do that, and he did this on the other side for me. So
very cool.
That came out awesome. So I wanted to show that off. I had to actually, and USPS decided two things today. They decided to deliver it to 6 houses down the street. I'm 103 and he's 109. And yeah, they did that. And then even though David packaged this the best I've ever seen anybody package anything, they knocked the eye off somehow in shipping. So I had to glue that back on earlier. So the dot for the eye. So yeah, I mean, it's maple on top and ambrosia underneath, and it's got live edge on both sides, as you can see.
Oh, it's good, Casey. That looks incredible. It's like the world almost didn't want you to have it, but you got it. So that's good.
So that'll be on my table, and it's heavy, Ben, so you can help me carry it in when I get there.
Very cool.
Yeah, can't wait. Where are you going to put that on your table, Casey? You're going to have to stand
like right in the front middle of the table, and then I'll have knives on either side. Just laying on the table.
Get it up at a 45 if you can, or even like a 20-degree angle.
Yeah.
You want to, because
I can get
when I lay my knives out, I have these little easels, and it's amazing what that little bit of just presentation does for people walking by.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
grabs their attention. You gotta elevate it.
Yep. We'll come up. I'll come up with some way to do it. I've got months, so we'll be good. But yeah, I just think it came out pretty fantastic. So
those months go very fast, so don't wait too long.
Yeah,
you're right. I've got stuff to do before then, like get another knife in here and that kind of stuff. So we'll see. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. That thing came out. Very cool. Hey, man, I hope you enjoy that. You won a.
Are you going to Blade Show, Dirk?
Yes, I am.
Very cool.
I'll be at table 41F.
Okay, I'm at 25V. So that it'll be cool. This will be my first time doing this, so
you'll have fun.
People are already trying to get a Jack Wolf and Dirk collaboration here.
I'll tell you what,
that could be fun.
I'll come say hi to you at Blade Show, and I'll introduce myself, and we could chat about it. Who knows? These guys would lose their minds, I think.
I think so. Yeah, it'd be kind of interesting. See where we can go with that.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, I'm just starting off in this stuff. I unlike Ben and my buddy Kevin over Lefty EDC with Devo knives. I'm jumping in with a couple of toes right now, maybe a foot, and Ben jumped in with everybody's feet. This guy committed to how many knives up at the start? I mean, basically,
six production runs. Yeah. because
So,
I wanted to have monthly deliveries and not have a lag.
Baller.
So
I've said that from the get-go. It took a lot of guts to jump
just
in.
pulled my
One
balls
knife
out
a
and
month.
dove
Who
in.
the
Hey.
frick does that? One knife a month, and
you make a decision and you go with it. That's smart.
And he's done it.
Right.
I have a full-time job, and I have a I also work. I'm working television, so I work sporting events all over the place on the weekends and different times. And then I have 4 kids and a wife, and now I'm and a YouTube channel. By the way, I almost forgot that. And now I'm trying to do a knife company at the same time.
So you have plenty of time.
Yeah, I got all kinds of time. It's just oozing.
If you can do all that, you got plenty of time.
I got all kinds of time. I got
Stop
all
being
kinds
so
of
lazy.
time. I am. Jack Pinkerton, Dirk Wolf. Yes. Oh gosh, we're already. That's great. Pink Wolf. Pink Wolf. Yes, there you go. I don't know where that came from. JB, Big Red EDC in the house. Good to see you, my friend.
What's up, JB?
I'm gonna I'm gonna go ahead here and I'm gonna start something. But Ben's always Ben's on here so much he's kind of become a bit of a co-host. So if you have any questions for Dirk, please feel free to ask Ben, and I'm gonna get ready to start the giveaway hashtag here.
Where are you located, Dirk? Whereabouts?
Huntersville, North Carolina. So
cool.
About 10 minutes north of Charlotte.
Yeah, I know where you're at. I'm north of you in Virginia, near Lynchburg.
Did you grow up out there?
No, I was actually born and raised in Columbus, Ohio.
Okay, I'm from the Detroit area myself.
So you're in the same neck of the woods.
I'm in Phoenix now. Yeah, I'm in Phoenix now.
Oh, you lucky guy, sort of.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in July. But
Yep.
Yeah,
I'd love to be in Arizona.
Do you ever make it out this way?
We've been out there several times. Haven't been recently. We have a few cats that have been sick, so it's kind of curtailed our travel. But we want to get back out there. Want to visit Jerome, that area.
Very cool.
It's an old mining town.
Some wineries up there. Want to try some Arizona wine. Very good, especially Caduceus, Maynard James Keenan for Tool. Yeah, he's got his winery up there. I'd definitely like to check that out. So everything I've seen, I love Arizona top to bottom. So it'd just be a blast to be able to get out there and spend some time doing that. I'm hoping we'll be able to do that soon.
That would be cool.
Yeah, maybe in the fall. It's cheaper in the summer, but it's also hot as hell. Even you got to go way up north to cool off.
Yeah, that's what I've been told. I've never hit Arizona in the middle of the summer. It's always been spring or fall. So
yeah, if you come through here, man. If you come through and you got an evening, maybe we can grab a bite.
Oh, absolutely. Slide over to New Mexico and pick up Bob T. And
there you go.
Everybody's out there.
Yeah, guys. Because it's warm instead of freezing to death like me. No, it's actually been a balmy winter for me. Actually, it's not been bad at all. So, guys, we're gonna use one of Dirk's knives here. He's the new guest. Ben's been on before. He's old news. No, I'm kidding, Ben. So You're not wrong. We're gonna do inversion as our hashtag tonight. So please include that in here. Again, the rules are very simple. U.S. mailing address is only because it's a knife. I'm not shipping a knife overseas. I'm just not doing that at this point in time. So we are doing U.S. mailing addresses only, and please 1 entry per account. I mean, per customer, per person is what I'm trying to say. So there you go. So inversion is your hashtag. We'll leave that there, and we'll keep talking.
KC, look at how far you've come, dude. You're just using the hashtag system. You're not intimidated by it anymore.
So here's the thing. I didn't realize how much time the numbers game because of me, because I'm a klutz and a goofball. I've seen JB do it, and it's not a big deal for him. Me searching through the comments and trying to do it, it was a mess for me. So once I actually, like you said, jumped on board, it's no turning back for me. It's so much easier. Oh, I should have done inversion squared. Daggone it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so I messed up. I'm sorry, but it's not. It's just inversion. So
people be trying to ask you where the squared button is on their keyboard if you do that.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. If you guys don't mind, I want to show a couple of knives off that are in for review real quick. And then we'll ask a couple more questions and then I'll do the giveaway drawing. But guys, don't forget, there's your hashtag. I'm going to take it down for a second just so people can share, can see. I mean, so the first knife I kind of wanted to show off is this Sharp by Design Mini Evo. I've actually got 2 of these in from Brian Nadeau. I wanted to take time and thank him for including my channel in the pass around. And Dirk, if you ever have any prototypes, I'm your guy. But anyway, there you go.
Will do.
But these are both, he calls these mini. I would call them EDC size, as you can see from my hand, which I got about 4 inches across. Plenty of room there for me. I have not seen the shoot, what's it called? The Evo Typhoon, which is the larger version of these. Hey, Trev, there's my other son, my other child. Number 4. This is the youngest. So everybody say hey to T-Rex. You'll see a lot of crazy dinosaurs in the chat here in a minute. So
I was just saying hi.
Well, hello. And the other one I wanted to show off is Andrew Hubbard sent this. Again, great designers. This is the Arcane Israel over there. Arcane Pratheon in the this has got the shoot. What's the material called?
So it's the glow in the dark carbon fiber?
But what's the name of it though? What's it called?
I don't know.
Glow in the dark carbon fiber.
Raphir Noble.
Yeah.
Raphir Noble.
Does Raphir Noble make that?
Yeah, that's what this is. So really cool. And I've got thumbprints on it. Very cool knife. It's his I like to say, Dirk, that Israel's style is not typically my style. Very aggressive, but now that he went with a kind of a drop point, an angry drop point, I call it here, or a clip, or whatever you want to call this, this is fantastic because I can get out here. I've got I mean, again, the jimping's a little aggressive for me, but very nice. This is a very cool design from him. I'm not much of a front flipper guy, but I can do it, which means congratulations. He did very well with it because I can actually do it. But yeah, pretty cool knife.
Yeah, I like that. That's nice. It's got a little of a Snowdy vibe to it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, kind of. I like this. He always has swedges on his knives, and this swedge just looks.
It looks
angry.
good.
Looks ticked off.
I like that.
So I'm big on swedges. I like when people do them right. You know, this one, I think, to me, and again, maybe it's just an optical illusion on this knife, but it's because it's tall and it makes it pretty thin. But I think also not having a thick flat up here makes it pass through material even better. I think a swedge can cause you to have, kind of, because you have a wedge here and a wedge there, and it goes through the material a little bit smoother. Maybe that's just me, but that's what it feels like when I'm cutting, that it goes through smoother because of that swedge. So I like swedges. So, yep. Yeah, guys, don't do second accounts for giveaways, please. One account per person in the giveaway, but again, I can't stop you from doing it. So if you want to do it, go ahead, if winning is that important to you.
Yeah, just don't be that guy. That's what I'm saying.
That's exactly guy. Yeah. I mean, I always say
honor system here,
right? I can't do anything about it, but just we've had people coming in and have 4 or 5 accounts, and one of them won not too long ago, and I emailed with the guy and I go, I hope you feel okay, with what you did. I still sent him the stuff because he did win fair and square, but it, just be fair. That's all I'm saying. Yep. Can't police it, but so much, but there you go. So, guys, any other questions? And then we're going to I've kept Dirk here for an hour and a half and Ben for an hour, and don't want to keep you forever, sir. I really appreciate you coming on, and you too, Ben. Of course, I've known Ben for a year and a half now. So we talk not all the time, but enough.
Well, quite a bit.
Yeah. No, Manusfaction. You cannot use all 12 of your accounts. Oh yeah. So Mrs. C just reminded me I need to announce next Monday. We have TC from Smoky Mountain Knife Works joining us. Should be a lot of fun. That guy's a hoot. You want to talk about somebody burning the candle? He's got a family. He works at Dixie Stampede as like an MC or something, or Dolly Stampede, I guess they call it now. And he is the guy over at Smoky Mountain Knife Works. So he's got a lot going on. So very, very cool. Hey, Ed Harrison, good to have you here. I see new people still coming in. There's 121 folks in here.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's
cool.
my Warncliffe Dirk right there.
See, that's nice. I like that.
Yeah. And that is the most pinchable one to me. So easy to open. For those of you that maybe,
very nice. Yeah,
if
that
you
looks
want an
good
easy
close.
open, there's your easy open right there. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I love that carbon fiber. That's the one that had the gold, right, Ben?
Yeah, that was dark matter gold, and then this is called a swayback jack. It's like a really traditional pattern.
Yeah,
it's the other
like
Warncliffe I have.
Yeah, I dig that a lot.
They're really thin. That's kind of what I'm known for now is like these really thin blades.
So what stock do you have them work with?
3 millimeter, so 120 thousandths, 3 millimeter. But they're hollow ground all the way down, and so they're just really thin behind the edge, and they don't really get thick until you get way up here. So they just slice like the dickens.
Do they grind on a wheel or is it on a machine?
They're grinding on a wheel, from what I can tell. I mean, when you could tell they're hand ground because especially when you got a whole batch in front of you and you look at the bevels, it's like, okay, they're not 100% perfect like
right.
That
looks like that's about a 20-inch wheel.
Yeah, it's a big wheel.
Yeah, that's definitely got more. That's a really big wheel.
It's super, yeah. And they are, like I said, I learned very quickly on that vampire how thin they are. Very, very much so.
Yeah, that's wicked.
Yeah, the layback jack they're all cool. I told Ben I have a video coming up next week of like my top Jack Wolf knives, and I can't rank them. I ended up doing it, but I guarantee if I did it again, like I erased from my memory what I did, Ben, it would be different the next time I do it. I guarantee it would, because I argued with myself the whole way through the video.
Look at the grind on that sucker.
Yeah, that one's crazy. Very, very pretty.
This one's thin.
Very, very cool.
I really like these. I love these high hollow ground thin blades.
Absolutely.
I love them, man. And
absolutely.
when you can like take a tomato and like shave the thing, it's like, holy shit, these are fucking thin.
Absolutely. Those are wicked when you get them that thin. Absolutely wicked slicers.
And I went from all my stuff was in M390, but I've recently made the switch to S90V, which guys are loving because you're just getting really good edge retention, and you're not worried about toughness so much with these things. You're not beating these against a tree or whatever.
Well, if you are, you're kind of silly.
Why not do 110? You should do some 110 on that.
Ooh,
you think that'd be a good choice?
Oh yeah, 110 would be really sexy on that knife.
Cool. Yeah, I'm open to suggestions always. I mean, majority of my collection is old-fashioned slip joints. They're all 1095, So I'm kind of new to the steel nerd thing, like all the high-performance steels.
I personally vote for an LMAX Jack Wolf, but I love LMAX, so I'm weird. But I will take an LMAX one. Very, very
crew wear. You could always do crew wear. That would be fun too.
I tell you what, I used to kind of, I didn't know a lot about crew wear, and I have a Spyderco Dragonfly in crew wear, and that thing, I'm telling you, I've destroyed more cardboard with that little tiny knife, and it just keeps going.
Yep.
It just keeps going.
It won't stop. It will not stop.
It's pretty phenomenal. And you and I both know, I mean, people can say whatever they want about Spyderco, and I've heard all the comments on here about people that do and don't like Spyderco, but they can do a heat treat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. They just they get the heat treat right. Van X. Yeah. Van X is great too.
I got it real quick. I got a shout out for Tree Stabbing Troy. Tree, it is okay to stab a tree if you're tree stabbing Troy.
Yep.
With your slip joints. He's like, hey, that's not silly. I would just recommend for most people who do not go by the name Tree Stabbing.
Exactly. Troy, the question is, when you go up to the tree with this, are you just sort of putting your hand back like this and poking, or are you dedicating like this and stabbing? I'm just curious.
There's a YouTube guy. I'm new to him, Donnie B.
Yep,
you know
Donnie B all day. Yeah, D-Bad.
Yeah. He's super interesting. And Brandon Thrasher sent him 3 of my knives, and he reviewed them like within the last month.
Yep.
And that dude, he does stab these things into tree stumps.
No,
he gets pretty hard with these things.
Cool.
But he's got the right technique. Like he comes down and applies the force, towards the spine.
I don't really care. I ain't doing it, man. He can do that all day long.
Nope, that's how you do it. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
Come down, yeah. So maybe D-Bad can do a video for you about Jack Wolf knives as self-defense knives.
Oh, man. I've always thought to myself, like, you don't want to be, like, thrusting with these things.
No.
But you had to get behind someone, like, you're going through that.
Yeah,
like, blood,
right. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, you don't thrust with, only if you have to.
Right.
Only
but
if you
as
have
soon as those are.
Guys, I promise I will tell you what the giveaway is in just a minute. I'm sorry. We're having fun. If you can't tell, we're joking around. We're having fun. So I'll tell you in just a minute. So Dirk, everyone wants to know if, a timeline on the Night Horse, maybe another version or whatever. You probably don't know the answer to that yet. Yeah.
Yeah, we're still discussing handle options. We are looking at doing some G-Carta. So we're talking about
that's nice
pricing, quantity, and working through that. So I'm hoping we get some final numbers and a decision in the next week or two. Once we get that, it'll go fairly quick. And it'll be, once the go-ahead is given, I think we're probably at about 90 days to see some product hit the shelves again. So we're just kind of in that slow stage of discussion, planning, finalizing details, and going from there.
All right, we have a really important question now, Ben. You get to answer this one.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Okay, I'm Honey Nut Cheerios.
Yep, Honey Nut Cheerios.
There you go. There you go.
I'm with you.
Close second for me is Honey Bunches of Oats with almonds. But anyway,
I go with
Dirk,
Life.
on the. Life is good too. That's old school. On the G-Carta, like, is he going to make you sheets, or are you guys going to just like, saw pieces off a block and load them in and out one at a time?
So, yeah, that's what we've been discussing. He was saying that he would probably we would need to talk to the factory and how they would prefer to do it, but he's already been working on the process on how to cut that material in very controlled small slabs. So we'd probably have him cut it off of his block, and they just have to load those, what are they, 2x, 3x6, 4x6. I forget what he said some of the larger ones were. So each individual slab have to load into the machine. Crazy. Which is going to be a challenge because you want to bookend them so they look match up on each side. So
they look similar, right?
It's going to be a process. So those will probably take a little more time. So you'd see the G10 versions come out again quicker than you will see the G-Carta. But
all right, I need to break in and thank somebody. Ed just gifted 20 Knives Fast memberships. Ed Harrison, thank you, my friend. Wow. There's your Daleka salute. Let me just read these real quick. Well, it won't be real quick, but it'll be as quick as I can. But Ed, I want to make sure Ed gets his thank you. Pretty Fly for a Knife Guy is a member. EDC and Lace. FL1P Solo. Oh, no, wait, that's not a member. I'm sorry. Gone Awry is a member. Knife Inquisitor. Nope. Yeah, Knife Inquisitor's a member. JR Miz. There was so many comments. G-Ball Vision, Kelly Weaver. My name's just Bill. Todd Carr, Laura Gillespie, CB, Jared Strasberg, Dang Ross, Twang Thang, B Shady, Moose Duty. Is that it? Nope. Lord Needham, Craig Wilkes, and it jumped on me. So where was I? I think that might have been all 20. Was that all 20? Kirby
I
Smith,
lost count at 16.
Kirby Smith, Charlie Hendes. I said Craig Wilkes. I think that's it. But guys, if you're a new member, send me an email, knivesfast@gmail.com. I will be honest to tell you, I'm a little behind getting the swag out, but I will definitely get some channel swag out. My life has been psycho. I've got most of it ready to go out upstairs for those of you that are waiting. But send me an email, knivesfast@gmail.com, and I will send you some channel swag. Ed, your heart's as big as All Outdoors, my friend. Thank you very, very much for doing that. Really appreciate it.
Very generous, Ed.
And
He's
then right
the
on,
man.
yeah, he is. And then right on top of that, we got Big Red EDC with a $10 super chat, so he gets a Daleka salute as well. Yeah, JB, don't work too hard. Dirk, this is a phenomenal knife. It is a lockback slip joint, and it has a scoliosis lock bar, as I like to call it. So it's super phenomenal. Ed, thank you. Ed's been a member himself for 1 month, and he says y'all are welcome. Thanks, Ed. Appreciate it very, very much. That is crazy. Oh, you guys blow me away, man.
It's a slip lock.
It's a slip lock. Right.
Yeah,
And it was like that when it first got here, man. It's just it's perfection. You can, there you go. You got to work at it a little bit, but I've never actually used the lockback on it. So yeah, so Dirk, I appreciate you very much for being on here. I guarantee I will be asking you again somewhere down the road. I personally, and this is I'm targeting all kinds of people, but I've had a lot of different designers on lately because, hey, I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to help everybody else with, what makes designers tick. What's their process? Ben and I love talking about this stuff. It's intriguing to me because, I always say this, and I'm not wrong, but then when I look at your knives, I think I'm wrong. And what I mean by that is I always say there's a finite number of shapes. Okay. There's shapes that work handle wise. There's shapes that work blade wise. And then there's tweaks that we as designers can make. And again, when I look at a lot of your designs, I see different, stuff that's not run of the mill. You're taking a Warncliffe, like with I was talking about the Ruffian has that downward tilt to the Warncliffe. I mean, you've got things that are very Dirk, and I think that's really cool. And that's kind of, I guess, as I draw more and more designs and try to get more in the books to move forward with, the kinds of things I'm thinking through of, how do I keep, and again, I think so far I have people can look at it and they know it's my design. I just, have to figure out how to do that with different blade shapes, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. And
yep.
First, thanks again for having me on. I really appreciate it. Had a blast.
Glad we got your camera working too.
Yeah,
it wouldn't have been as much fun, but anyway.
But I would say the one thing about handle shapes that I learned a long time ago, you would be surprised what your hand can comfortably fit around. A lot of designers limit themselves to just looking at what looks comfortable or what they think works. Your hand will fit around a lot of things very comfortably.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good way to play with it is, when I first started making knives, I would take the scraps and, I had a lot of waste back then because I had a really cheap bandsaw and I, wobbling all over the place. But the drops I would pick up and I would look and I'd be amazed at, hey, this actually doesn't feel too bad. It would look crazy, but it didn't feel bad. And I would make knives, just cut out one-offs based on that. And that's where some of my designs came from, playing with those odd shapes. And
that makes sense. Yeah. I mean, that's how I started with my very first one that was a cutout cardboard and got it to where it felt like something in my hand. And then I learned that the place I work at has a whole department that'll 3D print stuff for employees. So I get now I get that done. So, all right, we'll tell you what, we'll close with this last question. Because I do need to get to the giveaway and let you guys go. Ben, I'll start with you. What's the best single piece of advice that you can give to somebody who's interested in becoming a knife designer?
So,
it's a tough question, isn't it?
Well, no, but it's like there's got to be some context here. Like,
yeah,
you're talking about being a designer. What's your plan? Do you want to license that design to manufacture? Are you trying to start your own knife company? So that aside, if we're just going to look at the box of design, I would just say the most powerful tool I have in my repertoire right now is that I learned how to draw. I learned drafting and I draw in 2D CAD because it allows me to realize my vision precisely. I try doing pencil and I can do a rough sketch in pencil, but I don't translate well to my hand the way I do with the CAD machine.
Right.
Because I can be very specific. I want to offset, I want a center line here, and I want to offset this 10 millimeters this way and 10 millimeters this way, and I want to rotate this 1 degree. And to me, that tool is the most important tool I have in my repertoire to take what I see in my mind to put it precisely on paper. So I would say learn drafting.
Yeah, I would agree. That's definitely solid advice without a doubt. Because that's what you go back to. I mean, it's great to have a design and have an idea, but if you don't have it down and you don't have it fixed and you don't have it in a place where you can manipulate it and adjust it, you can put it on a piece of paper, and if you're really good at drawing, that's fantastic. But if you're like, I would say most people, and definitely me, it's got to be in a computer. You got to have something where it's precise.
I need to learn CAD. So mine are just on paper. I mean, I try, but so I need to learn CAD though.
Well, you have the support of a factory who has engineers that's helping you realize that.
Actually,
so
I'm working iterative. Right, I'm working through a third party. Hold on a second. Ed, what are you doing, my friend? Jeez. Woo!
Wow. That's the highest super chat I've ever seen.
Yeah. So Ed, okay. Yes, I will have knives with me at Blade Show, and one is yours. So very, very cool.
That's really cool.
I will definitely have KC knives, Tempest knives at Blade Show with me. Whoo, Ed, thank you, my friend. Trevor, come over here and make some like cha-ching noises or something. Ed just gave $200 super chat. Say something. Come on, say something fantastic. That's real weak. That's weak.
Let's put him right on the spot, Casey.
Wait, he's saying it. Here we go. Go.
I'd like to thank Ed for his contributions. Salutations.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That was pretty good though for a
Wow.
And then he tripped and died. That's great. That was good. He's my kid, y'all. Ed, you're the man. You get we'll have to bring you a case of Dolikas to Blade Show or something. I don't know. Very cool. Thank you so much, Ed. Woo. All right.
I want to go back to the advice.
Yep, go
for the design.
Yep.
The other thing to consider also is I strongly suggest start out designing what you want to design. Don't try and design what you think other people want.
Very good. Yep.
So, you know, I've watched a lot of people try and design what they think other people want, and they, you know, it doesn't go very well. You got to start from something that is you, how you see things, what you like, and then you move forward and you can tweak something. You know, if you get lucky, people see what you designed the first time. They're like, hey, we love it. We'll buy it. And you don't have to touch it. That's great. But the reality is you'll put something out there, you'll get feedback, and then you'll start understanding, okay, now I start understanding what people see. How do I incorporate what they see into what I want to do? But yeah, don't start from a place where you're trying to chase something.
I agree. Yeah. And again, it's a trial and error process. Like we were talking about with the Mach 51 earlier, you might not hit it the first time, but don't give up, keep going for what you believe in and go from there. Yeah. Very
absolutely.
cool. And Ed, please see what Keith says here on the screen. Hit him up. He's going to get you a Dolica. So very, very cool. Very, very cool. So I appreciate both of you. You're welcome to hang out for the giveaway and the drawing, or you can go either one, whatever's best for you. I've kept you both very long here. Guys, don't forget Jack Wolf, Javelina. Ben, say it. Javelina.
So, all right, it's a Spanish word. So if you want to say it correctly, it's javelina. But around here we say javelina.
Javelina. All right.
Javelina. Just don't call it a javelina.
No, I didn't do that. Well, I was. You know what's funny is, you know what's hilarious is I watch. There's this YouTube channel my wife and I watch. A couple they're called Dome Life, and they go around and they do like travel stuff, and they're in somewhere in Texas right now. I forget where they're at. And the guy was touring them through doing a hike, and they're like, that's a javelina den. And I'm like, oh, well, where's the pig? Show me. So, but no. So these come out Friday at dealers. The dealer list is on Jack Wolf Knives website. I'll have it in the link to my video on Thursday, guys. You can look at that. The dealer list is longer and longer, which means Ben's putting out more knives, which means you guys need to get behind him and support him. So if you can, check it out. Yeah.
I was just going to say, like, the batches have gotten bigger. So, you know, you don't have to worry about being at your computer in the first 30 seconds like it was in the beginning. I'm trying to make them more widely available. So, you know, just hopefully you'll be able to get the one you want without having to lose your mind.
Very cool. Lacey says she's hunted them in Texas, the javelinas, a few times. So very cool.
Yeah, there's a season here too. Yep.
Gotcha. Very cool. JR, the update on the microbursts is we've sold 205. It's kind of died in the last week or so. So if you haven't gotten in on the pre-order, please check it out. Again, I've said all along that eventually the prices are going to go up and the pre-order will come down. And there will be no more 2-pack to be had. So, and there's a finite number of scale sets to be had as well. I've ordered, the order's been done. They are in production. I've agreed on the drawings. Everything has been checked off on, and Kubi is, as far as I know, beginning to cut blades. So, cool. They're in progress, and your knife will be your way within 60 days or so. So, very, very cool. And, well, 60 days to me and then to you, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's your update. But yeah, I could definitely use like 10 or 15 more sales to definitely feel better about the being funded part. So, but we're getting there. We're definitely getting there. And there's still pinions available, but they are getting very slim. And when those are gone, the only other place you'll be able to get them is at Blade Show. I'll have a few left. I'll have 15 of 2 varieties. So I'll have 30 knives with me at Blade Show, and the rest are that would be it at the point that they're gone from my website, which is very, very close. So, yep. There's your answer. Thanks for the weekend update. It was kind of a quick update, wasn't it? All right. So let me go ahead and do this. Tell you what, we're going to do this backwards. All right. So you got 1 minute, guys, to, if you have not put hashtag inversion in the chat, there are 116 people that have entered, 127 in here. If you have not done that yet, please definitely do it, and I will draw momentarily, and I will show you what you have won after that. We're going to do it backwards. And Dirk, so what is, while we're waiting for this real quick, what is the next new design that you anticipate coming out? Will that be the inversion squared or something else?
Yeah, that's going to be the next
Okay.
major, if you will.
Right. Instead of maybe like a rehandle or something else. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
There are a couple of things I'm waiting to see with Beyond EDC concept and Kaiser, things that are hanging in the
Gotcha.
in the wings. And Artisan's always got something they're threatening to do.
I like that.
Well, it kind of feels that way sometimes.
Yeah, understood.
Hey, this is a great thing, and then it gets quiet for a while. Then they don't tell me they're doing it. That's always the best part.
Oh my
out of the
goodness!
clear blue. Oh yeah, by the way, like what?
Yeah, you
what?
show up at Blade Show and Russell's got a prototype. He's like, "Hey, look."
Yeah, that's happened once or twice.
Yeah, I bet.
I didn't know we were doing that. Oh yeah. Okay.
Very cool. That's awesome. All right, so let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and do this drawing real quick, and then we'll show you what you won. So here we go. There were like 120, I believe.
Flip Solo.
Solo is your winner. Very cool. Flip Solo. Let me know that you're still here because you'll need some instructions. Hopefully you are still here. And your instructions will be that you need to email me knivesfast@gmail.com and give me your full name and your address, and I will get this out now. What did you win? By the way, Ben, you weren't here, I don't think, when we showed the bunny.
I was here.
Oh, you were here. Okay. I can't remember. I don't even know my name half the time. And now I just lost something down here on the floor. Neat. Okay. Oh, there it is. Okay. So, yeah, there's the awesome bunny. Flip Solo, are you here? Because if you don't get the instructions, it's going to be hard to win.
He is.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Flip, email knivesfast@gmail.com, and you will get this stuff. Now, Ben, I wanted to show these off. These came in today. These will be the new Tempest stickers that'll be in the microbursts. So I think those came out pretty daggone cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, and
you get those are those from Machine Studio?
Zug Monster. These are.
Okay. I like how it's got the pull tab.
Yeah, they do. They still do where you can choose to have them or not. And I'm always thinking to myself, why would somebody not choose to have that?
But only because it hangs out the side. Maybe it doesn't fit in your packaging. Would be the only reason. Maybe I could think, because it's a nice feature.
Yeah, I like it too. And these came out really nice. They're a little bit bigger than what I had been doing, which is these little cutout guys like this. But I just thought I'd do something a little bit different. Those will be in the microburst, so that's real cool. And then, guys, there's a whole bunch of stuff here. Wow, I put the wrong thing away. That's neat. Hold on half a second. I messed up. Great. Now I'm gonna have to find what I'm looking for. Here we go. I had two knives out instead of a knife and a flashlight. So, guys, you're gonna get an Olight i5R flashlight in red. So this is the rechargeable EDC size, obviously. Very cool. So you're going to get the red version of that, courtesy of our friends at Olight. All right. I'll put that back in the package later. You will get an O-Knife Freeze 2 in green and the coin that comes in the pouch. So really cool little knife here. Very cool.
I like that.
Yeah, it's
pretty straightforward. I like that. Yeah,
pretty straightforward design. Exactly. Very thin though. It's feels thin in the hand, which I think is pretty cool actually. I like thicker knives, but because it's a little bit taller, it feels pretty good being thin too. So you get a red. It's kind of interesting. I think I'm doing Christmas here. A red flashlight and a green knife, and then of course you get the Killer Bunny. And Dirk, we also do a really weird thing around here. Somebody asked me if it was my son Trevor asked me if I'd review a butter knife live. And so he brought a butter knife down and I did a review on it. So then ever since then, we give away these little butter knives fast. So this is the 92nd one of that. And of course, it's signed by Trev and all kinds of stickers. I'm not going to go. There's Big Red EDC in here. There's Smoky Mountain Knife Works. There's Lefty EDC. There's Bluminati Ninja. There's Alice Paracord in here. There's a Smoky Mountain Knife Works cloth back here. There's so much stuff in here. It's not even funny. So that's what you won, Flip Solo. Please make sure you send me that email so I can get this out to you. And thank you to everyone tonight. It's been a lot of fun. Dirk, I'd love to have you on again down the road. Ben, I have you on every month, and I will continue to do so for sure. Love having you on. Ben's a buddy at this point, so very, very cool. So thanks, everyone. Any parting words, gentlemen?
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
I had a great time, and thanks to everybody that showed up. And yeah, anytime you want me on, just let me know.
And I'll try not to keep you as long next time. How about you, Ben?
I echo those words. I appreciate all you guys. It's really a pleasure to hang out with you. There's nothing else I'd rather be doing right now. So I'm blessed to be here. It's nice to meet you, Dirk.
Nice meeting you, Ben. Definitely look forward to seeing your stuff up close.
There you go.
Cool.
We'll have to
make sure to
definitely touch base at Blade Show for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Ben, you'll be at Blade Show West, right? Or
Texas, you mean?
Texas, yes, Texas.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Dirk, how about you?
Not at this time. It's just going to be Blade Show Atlanta.
Yep. Yeah, me too. So very, very cool though. Thank you guys very, very much. This was one of my favorite episodes. I think we had a lot of fun. So thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate everybody. Hit that thumbs up on the way out and leave me a comment after a post. And Ed, thank you again. And everybody else who did super chats, JB and I can't remember now, but thank you, everybody. We did have a new member tonight as well. That was Cable Guy. Very, very cool. So thanks to each and every one of you and have a great night. And thanks for watching the Knives Fast channel.